Should I? Your Holiness, we've brought our second group forward, and we wanted to shift the conversation a little bit. We talked just now about all the divides that exist in countries that are affected by violence and conflict. And we wanted to shift the conversation to how to build the kind of inclusive societies and communities that lead to more sustained peace. And with the knowledge that it's so often the women and the youth who are left out, who don't have a voice or who are not included. And so I thought maybe, hey, we could start with you to say a few words, and we'll take comments. Okay. Hey.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Your Holiness, for this opportunity. I'm Hey from Myanmar. So I am a medical doctor by training. So after my graduation, I worked in ethnic areas, conflict-affected areas, and dispute area in Myanmar. So I also work as a researcher. At one point, I had a conversation with the ethnic groups in my region. And there was a story where an ethnic soldier was trying to hold a grenade in his hand, and he was trying to play the pin of the grenade. That's just in and out, in and out.
Like an instrument.
Yes, just a bomb. And then there was a girl came, and so he was distracted. And then he was not able to put the pin in again. So that he, in order to prevent it from exploding the others, towards the other, he actually put the grenade in his tummy, in his stomach, and then he was trying to do like this, and so he was exploded. And this experience was in a tea shop, near a tea shop. So a lot of people saw that, and the girl herself was traumatized a lot about that. And this was not the only story. There are stories like that, because people killed, they are left in front of them, and things like that. There are a lot of mental issues, psychological problems in the regions. And once I met a young boy in a training, and he was not able to communicate his feelings. So I asked him why he was not communicating with us. And I had to do a bit, and then later I found out that his family and his neighbors always told him that he will not be able to do whatever he wants in his life. He went to be a singer. They said that you will not be able to do this. You will not. This kind of conflicts will not let you to do anything you want. So because of that, he became very shy, and he was not able to communicate with his emotions and feelings and anything at all. So I think in a society, like you said, the global warming, everything, a lot of the problems came into our life, in the future, and young people are not really empowered to face with these futures. And it's made me really sad to see this way. And so I do the encouragement to include young people in decision-making process. And I also noticed that being humble is really important, because inclusion of young people in decision-making, as I do, I felt a lot of challenges with the people being not so humble. And so it's very difficult to communicate with our challenges to them. So if you have some advices.
mi shengi da semshu ja shi yo de kashi buji pe na dan de kuran chenbu cha na she dang gen chi yin sla du phama bin ja de zo ngang zo ka nye de na chu de sam ba la kran mi yu gu tu ye yo mar se re bo de la wal de ne an ko pet semshu cha mi nam do zo mi yun de ke ji shi ro ma chi ba de ka nye che dos 인도 다시 그런서 지도 나로를 수도 냠도 민신다님도 조백하러 야보치니 조디 체토야 다시 탑시 잡지 근데서 그런 디셈슈 버려 내가 지금 그래서
So if I may, I would like to have some tips to educate people to be more humble and more open to each other.
지내 지도 나로 다시 민념중 제대 개진을 하셨어. 근데 디도 다시 그래서 로종의 돈에 신윤 베베 돈에 디 민념중 그래서 쇠퇴야 근데 탑시 잡고 근데 쉬어요나 어디서 그런 남았어요.
And Your Holiness, it's in addition to youth, Mariam, maybe you could go next.
Your Holiness, I'm from Iraq. I want to talk about a situation that it happened to me personally. As you know, Iraq is a diverse country, and it's been a lot. It has been a lot of problems and violence going on. And I remember in 2007 to 2008, when I was only 14 years old, I was forced to wear hijab, because I was told that if I don't wear it, then I will be killed by the terrorist groups from the Qaeda outside the, inside our region where I live. And I remember a moment where I was under violence, because the terrorist groups and the army were trying to fight with each other, and we were inside the school. We were under the violence. It was something very terrifying. And I remember when everything was settled down, I had to go out, and I saw my dad was crying, and he tried to hold me, and he was so happy that he sees me, I'm alive, after all of this violence and the war that happened. And so my question is, how can we help those young teenagers and widows that's been affected by terrorists to move forward after being affected by the ISIS or the terrorist groups?
그런 다시 럽제 나라 유럽 걸었다 지구를 로바든지 파주 증제 당배 갑도실한 럽저 유럽 갑도 대청송 산이디도 럽전 마트용디 바바 베시브지 셈데 치시는 거 대샤스 딘디다 모랑기 치와디 다시 가서를 수수 교회 나들이 정바들이 페메리다 아이테 마임베 양치부 수수 파마 정바다 된주를 이제 셈수 당다다 된주 돈에 럽저 잡단도 컨데스 디치고야나스.
And Your Holiness, maybe we can ask Tarek to contribute as well.
I came from Libya.
Yeah.
It's okay. I found myself in this situation at July 2016. Early in the morning, I was going to my university, and in the road, there is like armed group. They stopped me, and in just 1 minute, I felt the gun on my head, and this guy says like, "Get out of the car, or I will kill you." Then I just follow him. So I spent like 3 days with them, arrested. So in this time, I just I don't believe that if Allah exists or not, but in that moment exactly, I just decide to choose to believe. So after that, I decided to work with youth to try to promote the peace. So my question to you is, how can we use the compassion to try to include more youth to work with us? Thank you.
그래서 저디 신기지 틀어 시디 배아디 탑시도 컨데스 지구에나스.
Difficult question. In in certain case, they're under the particular circumstances, you have to, if something you see really carrying a knife or something, then only thing is run away or take one stone. Otherwise, you see, that's not my choice. Not other choice. Your life is precious and should survive. In 1959, March 10th, the things become out of control. Since 10th March 1959, I try my best to cool down both sides, Chinese and Tibetan side. Both determined to fight. I try. Next 1 week, completely fail. Then I thought, the situation now cannot handle peaceful way. So, lastly, I received one message from Chinese side. The Summer Palace, Nobulinga, there are few blocks of sort of building. So where you live, that should mark, and they will protect. So either way, protect or target. So then finally, I escaped. So, you see, I practice escape rather than peace, 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 or compassion, compassion. No. Escaped. Then, with the feeling, or I can see next day or not. Real danger. But then, next morning, I reach some area from little bit distance from Lhasa. So then, no immediate danger. So best thing is escape. If you have the sort of possibility, is to change other person's mind. Otherwise, better escape. Like that. So we should act according to the actual circumstances. In any case, you see, we should not allow the room of hatred feeling. This we have sort of, we have power. Or physically escape, but the sort of anger, negative feeling, we can control. Recent year, there was some similar situation, 1959. Some Tibetan start demonstration. Then I felt, now Chinese certainly going to suppress them. And then at that moment, I visualize the Chinese local authority who give order to suppress these Tibetan. I visualize them, and then practice of give and take. Take means through imagination. Take their anger, their suspicion. Take myself, and my sort of patience and compassion. Give them. Using that practice, there's no way to help the situation, but at least very helpful to keep my mind peaceful. Okay. So, 어디 2008, like that. That's my own experience. You see, mentally, you see, thinking that way, although no help to solve the actual problem, but at least very helpful to keep peace of mind. Like that.
Your Holiness, I think Burial has a very similar question along those same lines.
Yeah. So when I start, does this work?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, thank you. I'm really honored to be sitting next to you. I had a great moment. I want to thank you for the great opportunity. I was really, really inspired by all you guys' stories. So you guys know that the Arab Spring started from Tunisia, and we're starting to be a role model for all Arab communities. Before the revolution, we had no knowledge of human rights. We just lived there, like eating, sleeping, working, doing daily stuff. But I lived a personal story that my mom was constantly harassed in her work because she was wearing the headscarf. I had also a couple of people of my family being arrested for going to the mosque or reading certain religious books. But after the revolution and after all the protests, we have more freedom of speech, and we are advancing also in women's rights. I work as a women empowerment activist, and I aim to create a community of women that are bold, confident, but also change makers, and who can make a positive change in the community. I also want to empower everyone that identify herself as a female, and that includes trans women and lesbian as well. So my question for you is, how can we address the needs of people who are minority in their community, and they feel excluded from the community, such as the LGBTQ+ community? Thank you.
차디 교리 기초 대책 가서래 지존을 수 가서 조리체 되야 그도 간디스 답시 제오레세 건예 체대고를 장미리 차이나.
And Your Holiness, I'm going to ask Rowan to go ahead as well.
Now, since we not seeking separation from China, we want to live together within the People's Republic of China. In the meantime, we ask them, since we have our own language, our own cultural heritage, and these different cultural heritage also related with the geography, environment. So it suits the people so worthwhile to preserve our own cultural heritage. So politically remain as a part of People's Republic of China. But since Chinese Constitution itself, you see, mentioned is in different places as a Tibetan area. So we all Tibetan in different part of China should have same right to preserve our own culture, our own language. Some Chinese hardliner, they try to eliminate Tibetan culture, Tibetan language also. So nowadays, you see, things are changing. The number of Chinese now really showing Tibetan culture, and mainly Buddhism, which we practice. So now things are changing. So such work, we need patience, and meantime determination, and believe truth. That's important. So China, very powerful, militarily powerful. No? But our strength comes from truth. Firstly, politically, we are not seeking independence. Meantime, we try to preserve our own certain right that Chinese Constitution itself mentioned. Then another point, if we just say about the similar convention, that it mentioned the inner Tibet and outer Tibet. Outer Tibet, more or less independence. Inner Tibet is a part of China. So if we emphasize independence of Tibet, then only outer Tibet. The outer Tibet population around more than 2 million, about 2 millions. Then combine both inner Tibet, outer Tibet, then our population around 6 to 7 millions. So Chinese Constitution itself recognized as a Tibetan area. So good. We're not leaving from People's Republic of China. Remain in People's Republic of China. But those areas which Chinese Constitution itself recognized as a Tibetan area should have same right to preserve our own culture, our own language. So mutual benefit. On top of that, another sort of positive thing is now more and more Chinese now following Buddhism, and particularly Tibetan Buddhism. So we can help them about Buddha Dharma, Buddhism. And then they can help us money. Tibet, a lot of damage done by Chinese. So let them spend more money to rebuild, including these monastery, about 6,000 monastery. Marbe, about more than 6,000 monastery destroyed. So these, the local people very faithful. Of course, logically, Chinese people love their own culture. Similarly, we also love our own culture. And then, the practical level, I notice Tibetan language is the best language to explain precisely about sophisticated ancient Indian thought, Buddhist philosophy. So, I notice this is about psychology. When we discuss with scientists, Tibetan language, I found best language to express precisely. Because before Buddhism translate into Tibetan language, very primitive. So while translation carrying on, the new Sanskrit word, then they create new Tibetan word. So now, result, Tibetan word, Tibetan language, very most closest language with Sanskrit. So therefore, now Sanskrit, that language. Some scholar maybe, but among the living language, Tibetan language is the best language to explain about this sophisticated Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology, Buddhist logic, like that. So therefore, it is mutual benefit to Chinese. We can help them. To us, the city, we get more money to rebuild. Already, many new constructions in Tibet already have. So good. After all, Chinese, same human being. We also same human being. And historically, 7th century, Tibetan king married with Chinese princess. So close link there. Sometimes I jokingly sort of express the Tibetan emperor, 7th century, marry with Chinese princess. So certainly he enjoyed Chinese food. But when he sort of noticed the Chinese letter, he found too complicated. So he preferred create our own script, Tibetan script, copy from Indian language, Devanagari, and alphabet. So now today, Tibetan language is, I think, best language to explain about Buddhist philosophy, particularly Nalanda tradition. So,
Your Holiness, you know, your story really underscores the importance of your story, emphasizes the importance of people being included, the Tibetans being included with rights, and also how sometimes it can take a long time. I'd like to ask Luis to come in with his question, and then we'll go to Rowan.
I think basically any small community have to sort of think the larger community in economy, environment, and education, many fields, you see,